Hello everybody, welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode we're going to be talking about Islam Makhachev versus JDM. Of course we're going to be discussing the rest of the card as well, but the focal point of today is going to be JDM versus Makhachev. What happened? Why were the takedowns so easy? Why didn't Maddalena even sprawl one time? If I didn't know better, I'd think he was a beginner. Of course JDM is one of the best. He's probably the second best welterweight alive today. But why didn't he look so defenseless in the wrestling? It's confusing. It's confusing. It's shocking. It's I don't know what to say. Guys, I got to give an incredible congratulations to Islam Makhachev. The double champ made history, is now 16 wins in a row, tying Anderson Silva's record for most consecutive wins in the UFC and becoming double champion. Not only did he become double champion, he dominated the former welterweight champ, the now former welterweight champ in JDM, easily for 5 rounds. All judges gave it 50-45, giving Islam Makhachev every single round. There is no dispute. There is no controversy. There is no back and forth. There is nobody online arguing for JDM. Everybody knows JDM lost, including JDM. When you saw him sit on the stool between the rounds, he was so depressed. Even his coach had to tell him, if you listen to the corner between rounds, his coach tells him, take that sad look off your face. He was upset with JDM. Take that sad look off your face. He was egging JDM on. JDM looked broken after round 1. After round 2, he looked depressed. What was going on? JDM didn't even attempt to sprawl. He did one limp leg in the entire fight. He got taken down every round with the exception of round 2, where he kind of tried to counter. He tried to wrestle with Islam and kind of took himself down. He tried to jump. He tried to step over an underhook in dogfight, which is very risky, and it backfired and he ended up on the bottom. Islam didn't really have to take him down because he kind of he attacked Islam and it backfired. Islam got easy takedowns. What happened? I want to talk about this one topic. Why were the takedowns so easy? Now, I expected Islam to take him down, but not this easily. I told you all he's going to shoot round 1, minute 1. About a minute 10 seconds, a minute 5 seconds, Islam shoots. He takes JDM down. I'm telling you, there are wrestlers all over the world that don't do MMA. Watch that fight and they're like, oh, these MMA guys don't know how to wrestle. They're total beginners in wrestling. They know nothing about wrestling, which is not true because JDM knows how to defend wrestling. JDM is a slick guy. He's an intelligent guy. What happened? We're going to talk about what happened on the ground as well. The Octopus guard. He tried the Octopus guard like over 10 times. I lost count. I had a count of 15 Octopus attempts. This is crazy. We're going to talk about half guard. I told you guys in the past, half guard is a bad guard, especially for MMA. It's not the guard you want to go to. You got to learn how to defend half guard and get to better guards. I talked to you guys about this strategy. I got so much blowback. Now, I know that JDM maybe is no half guard expert, but that's my point. Half guard is a very sensitive guard. We're going to talk about that later. You better know every minutia of half guard because if you don't, it backfires. And JDM made the same mistake from half guard over and over again. And it's crazy, and we're going to talk about it. But before we get into what happened on the ground, somebody out there explain to me why JDM barely sprawled. It happened in the DDP fight. What's going on? In DDP fight, DDP barely defended a takedown till the 5th round. He finally defended a takedown and got on top of Chimaev. But the first round, he didn't even look like he was trying to sprawl. What happened? I need an explanation. Why didn't JDM explode into a sprawl? He gave up the leg quick, and we all know the shot is coming. Does he need to listen to this podcast? I told the whole world. Makhachev is going to shoot round 1, minute 1. Be certain. I even said, I promise you. I said the words, I promise you. You guys want to hear me say it? You guys want? Should I play the take? Should I play the take for you? All right, let's hear it. Let's go to my YouTube page. There's an excerpt floating around. You guys want to hear me tell the world he's going to shoot round 1, minute 1, man. Everybody knows this. Should you do air sprint run? Wrong video. Damn it. Hold on a second. Okay, here it is. Can Islam take him down? I'm going to say yes. And I think Islam's going to do it in round one. He's going to shoot in round one. Maybe he doesn't get the takedown, but he's going to work the takedown in round one. That's what Bilal Muhammad didn't do. He let round one slide without much wrestling. Islam is going to shoot in round one. I promise you guys that he will shoot in round one. And if he misses or not, he's going to go up to the judo. He's eventually going to lock his arm. All right, maybe I didn't say minute one in that take, but I said it in the main podcast. Guys, we all know he's going to shoot. Of course, he did shoot. No surprise. Everybody knows. Everybody and his grandmother knows. You don't have to be an MMA coach to know. Why didn't JDM look like he was prepared? Somebody answer that. Somebody give me an answer. I would love to talk to his coaching team. I would love to talk to the whole staff. Like, I understand Islam is tough to take down, to stop. I get it. He's an incredible wrestler. But it didn't seem like he was even fully aware that the shot is coming. His corner was telling him, JDM's corner was telling him, you got to move your feet. Your feet are stuck in the mud. You know, you got to move your feet. Yeah, but that's not really the problem. Moving around doesn't really help because you're putting yourself up against the fence. That's Makhachev's wheelhouse. It's not really going to help. Guys, by the way, check out my new, don't forget to check out my new instructional. Guys, this is my best striking instructional ever. It's a partner-based system, commands and signals, striking system, volume 1. Use promo code HOLIDAY55 off and get 55% off anything on jujitsuclub.com. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the first of many volumes for this series. It's a partner drill series. We do this all the time. This is the curriculum of TriStar Gym. Make sure to pick it up. It's super, super effective. It's an incredible way to train, and I promise you this will change your game. And also in the new year, we're going to be opening up to certification. So get the video now, practice it, and in February of 2026, we're going to open up certification. You're going to be able to upload a video of you training, doing the system, and if you're doing it correctly, we will certify you for volume 1. Don't get too excited. Volume 1 doesn't mean you're a black belt or anything like that. It just means you're on your path to mastering the system, and it's probably going to be like a 10 volume system minimum. At minimum, it will be 10 volumes. This is volume 1. The other volumes have already been written, and we're going to be filming them shortly, and we're going to make a certification program. Guys, don't miss out on this system. If you're a striking enthusiast, if you're an MMA fighter, a kickboxer, check it out. We use this with pros all over the world. It is the best system I've ever come across. I've innovated the system from years and years of working with some of the best coaches on the planet. I've taken a little bit from everybody's system and made this monstrosity, a monstrosity of a system. It's a Frankenstein of a system. So be sure to check it out. Okay, guys, let's talk about only Islam Makhachev and JDM. I want to hear comments and questions. I'm not going to go through the entire fight because you know what it was? It was a takedown really early. It was half guard dominance. A few attempts to submission by Makhachev. None really got close. And then just really bad half guard play by JDM. And I get frustrated when I see things like that. Okay, frustrated because, you know, here's the thing. You know, I know Greg Jones is an incredible grappler. He's a stud grappler. He won silver at the ADCC. The guy's an incredible grappler. And he's famous for his octopus guard. I know he has a very famous video out there. I understand it. Octopus guard is not new. It's old. It's a really great system as a backup plan. Okay, it's your backup plan. It can't be your bread and butter base game because there's a lot of things better than that you can do. And JDM was just hammering away with octopus guard. Maybe, and here's a crazy thing. He tried a buggy choke, man. He tried a buggy choke. Now, using the buggy choke to escape the darts, I agree this makes sense. But he attempted a buggy choke, and then he almost got darts, and then he escaped the darts for using a buggy choke. The buggy choke was embarrassing. It was a bad idea. Look, when you train a striker, you got to consider a strike selection. When you train a grappler, you got to be conservative and say, look, I can't teach him every move under the sun. What moves am I going to train him in that make the biggest difference in this fight? If you told me, hey, let's go octopus, I would have said no. If you try octopus on Makhachev, it's going to backfire. JDM does not have the experience to pull off octopus. Okay, octopus is a very sensitive guard, meaning if you don't get it just right, if you don't time it right, if you don't do it in the right circumstance, it backfires. Okay? A sensitive guard is something that backfires. A sensitive attack is something that backfires. It has to be done just right. And even worse, if you told me, what about buggy choke? I would have told you he doesn't have the hips or legs. Guys, I've trained with the Rotullo brothers. I felt the strongest buggy chokes in the world. I know. I have students of mine that do buggy choke. I have one student of mine who's a buggy choke expert. That's pretty much that's his bread and butter. And don't get me wrong. I've seen him tap out studs with the buggy choke. You have to have the legs. You have to have the reach. You have to have the hips to do it. JDM doesn't fit the criteria for buggy choke. It doesn't make sense. And you're going to try that on Islam Makhachev. I think it's crazy. I think it's just crazy. And I think the maneuver selection was wrong. Craig Jones is a brilliant guy. He's an incredible grappling coach, but he doesn't have a lot of experience training maybe MMA fighters and understanding their situation that they're in and their capabilities. Because if you're going to play Octopus guard, man, you better be doing that every day. You better be drilling it every day. An MMA fighter has so many other things to see, so many other things to do. He can't just be the master of Octopus guard. Now, guys, I train my UFC fighters. I train them in Octopus guard. Yes, I do. And when they try it, sometimes it fails and sometimes it works. That's why I tell them you only do it in these circumstances when you have no other choice. He blocked you and in these other circumstances. It's just crazy to me that these gimmicky guards are seen in a UFC fight, main event, 5-rounder, mega fight, champion versus champion. And that's what you're trying to do. It's just doesn't make sense to me. All right, guys, I went on a ramble. I'm a little bit out of control tonight. Why did JDM cry? Why did JDM cry? That's from Tuxedo Mask. I didn't see him cry. Look, he doesn't deserve to cry, okay? I don't want to be hard on the guy. It was a tough fight. He didn't do well. He's much better than what he showed. He's an incredible fighter. He might be the second best welterweight alive today. I have utmost respect for the man. I just thought it was going to be way more of a seesaw battle. I'm sure JDM's disappointed in his own performance. I think his coaches, you heard them in the corner, they were very, very disappointed. It wasn't remotely competitive, which is unbelievable because JDM is so talented, so intelligent, so crafty, so skilled, so talented. The man's on a tear. I think he has like 7 wins in a row or 6 wins in a row in UFC. But before that, I mean, he's like on an 18-fight win streak. Let me look at his record. Okay, JDM has a stunning record. Let's look at JDM's topology here. He's 8-1 UFC. Okay, his last fight was a loss. Okay, but before fighting Makhachev, 8 wins in a row in UFC. Guys, let me tell you something. Less than 1% of fighters in UFC, get 8 wins in a row. Less than 1% of fighters in UFC history, all of UFC history, will score 8 wins in a row. Less than 1%. Think about that. They take the best of the best fighters in the world. The best. Only the best, man. This is the Olympics of MMA. And not even... And then, okay, refine... That's the best guys. Okay, then take the 1% of the best guys. Less than 1% are going to win 8 fights in a row, statistically speaking. Okay, it's a crazy achievement on JDM's part. Incredible. He's one of the best martial artists alive today. Incredible. Before his UFC streak, his last loss was in 2016. The man hasn't lost a fight in over, let's call it 10 years. Okay, think about it. He's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 fights in a row, okay? 18, so 10 fights in a row. Then he goes to UFC, wins another 8 in a row. Think about the confidence he has. Think about the confidence. He went in there, he hasn't lost a fight in 10 years. Let's just call it 10 years. 10, 11 years. Incredible. He gets in there and he gets mauled by some guy who went up a weight division. Mind blow. Total mind blow. Okay, guys, I'm losing it a little bit tonight. I know I'm out of control. Seemed like JDM overprepared for the number of submissions sacrificed in other areas. That's from Chocolat. Man, he should have put so much emphasis on the sprawl, man. He should have put so much... Look, I'm Monday morning quarterbacking here for sure. Okay? I just feel that... his sprawl and takedown defense was not urgent. It wasn't urgent. It was almost like he was lackadaisical. Until the 5th round. 5th round, they lit a fire under JDM, and he went after it. He started throwing punches, and he got double-legged. But look, at least he tried. Like, it wasn't close. He didn't get close to hurting Makhachev. The best punch he landed, JDM landed one good punch in round 2. He landed a good right hook. He hit Makhachev. Makhachev pressed him up against the fence, and it led to them getting to the ground because JDM was trying to scramble for an attack. He landed one good hook. The majority of the good strikes came from Makhachev. Makhachev torched his leg. JDM went southpaw, and Makhachev charred his leg with low kicks. He killed him with low kicks. Makhachev won in the striking. He won in the wrestling, and he won on the ground, obviously. It's because of the calves. In the first few rounds, he did react. That's from Mighty Galactus. Man, the first takedown, he didn't seem to react too much. Makhachev shot from far away, grabbed the single leg, and he did one attempt. He did one takedown and got it on the first effort. There was no second effort, third effort. There wasn't a combination of attacks. When he was wrestling Poirier, at least he had to do a combination of attacks. He had to go from one move to the next, and then he finally caught Poirier with the golf swing, which, by the way, I also teach him my single leg made easy. And it took 3-4 attacks. With JDM, it took one attack. Grab and attack. That's what we call second effort. You missed the first attack because the guy countered you. You go into a second attack, a chain wrestling. There was no chain wrestling really involved. Not much. I mean, nothing really, except unless you count the fence, which on the fence, the fight got to the ground really quick. Coach, did it look like JDM came injured, or was it low kicks from Islam that were unexpectedly damaging? That's from Faraz. Faraz, by the way, I love your name. Second of all, I think the low kicks really crushed him. Yes, it made a big difference, definitely. But I don't think JDM should have been southpaw for so long. And then he did later on in the fight. He switched to orthodox, and that didn't help either. But he did get crushed by those kicks, man. And I told you guys, Islam has more power than JDM. One shot each. Makhachev has more power. Now JDM has better technical mechanics. He has better combinations. He has more output. He has more meaning he throws more shots per minute. Usually outside this fight, he usually throws more shots per minute. And his defense is technically better. Even though Makhachev is very good at not getting hit, when there are actual exchanges, Makhachev gets hits. Makhachev usually relies on distance and wrestling to avoid strikes. Coach, your fight predictions are like a crystal ball. That's from Emmanuel Bear Cry. Look, I'll tell you something. I got every single fight right. And I'll tell you something that hasn't happened to me in a very long time. I don't want to say like, oh, I knew it and all made sense. No, guys. This is a special this was a special circumstance. I don't expect my calls to be perfect in the future, guys. I get calls wrong just like everybody else. Like I said, whenever I go to the shows, I always ask everybody's opinion, the fighters, the coaches. And I'll tell you something, it's very hard to predict fights. Anything can happen. I didn't think this was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a seesaw battle. I picked Makhachev to win, but not like this. I gave him, if I remember correctly, I gave him 55-45. I didn't think it was going to be 95-5. I didn't think that, okay? That's what we saw. We saw 95-5. Let's be really nice and say 80-20. Okay, but it was a really one-sided fight. It's crazy to see a champion versus champion fight where everybody, and we saw it moments before with Shevchenko and Weili, but that's still not as shocking to me as what happened to JDM. All right, guys, let's open it up now to the other fights as well. Actually, I don't even know if I'm done with this fight. I can't stop thinking about it. But look, let's open it up to the other fights. There were some amazing. It was an incredible card. It was. What could you do? What could you do to escape half guard, octopus guard, butterfly sweep, knee lever, deep half guard, escape, electric chair sweep? Thank you, Habibi. That's from Sufi Mir. Sufi Mir, my brother. Listen, I'll tell you something. Okay, my last instructional video on the ground was how to deal with half guard pressure. In that video, I talk about how training with George St. Pierre for so many years, I started to develop a half guard system on the bottom to deal with this kind of stuff. And I'll tell you something. Islam Makhachev grew up watching George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre and me trained together for 20 years, over 20 years now. I trained him for so many years. And that system comes from John Danaher. Everything you saw Makhachev do, they learned it from GSP. Me and GSP learned it from John Danaher. It's a refined golden system. I have a video called Half Guard Pressure Made Easy, Half Guard Attacks Made Easy. And that video is all about how to pass, how to smash, how to do everything you saw Makhachev do, everything you saw GSP do. It's a great system. That's why I tell you guys, I don't like being on the bottom in half guard. People were attacking me, guys. Come to TriStar Gym, get underneath me in half guard or George St. Pierre, and let's see how you do. I'm telling you, we spent 20 years crushing guys from half guard. 20 years, and you saw it. It's very difficult to stop the top game. I'm not saying it never happens. I'm not saying George St. Pierre never gets swept. I'm not saying Makhachev will never get swept. It can happen, yes. But more often than not, let's call it 80% of the time, they're going to dominate from that position. So I took a system where I use my half guard to transition to other positions and other maneuvers to get out of there. That was my last video, half guard, dealing with half guard pressure. It's an undervalued video. And now when you see things like that, you realize why coaches like me make those videos. Those are very important key concepts. Now, what do? You said knee lever. You said all this. Octopus is not wrong. Now, I'll tell you something, okay? In my video, in my half guard pressure defense video, I talk about Octopus and I show Octopus. And one major error that JDM was doing is when he was going Octopus, he was looking up and he was getting cross-faced. Oh man, I could just show you. Hold on. Let me just show you my instructional. Let me see if I can pull it up. Because JDM made a fatal error in the fight, okay? This is really interesting stuff, okay? We're nerding out on jiu-jitsu here. Let me see if I have the video here. Ultimate guillotine. Half guard bottom. Oh, no. Is it here? Look, it might be in this video. Anyways, I'll try to pull it up, okay? Point is, his head should have been pointing down. If you're pointing down and the guy cross-faces you, could sweep him. He actually conceivably could have swept Makhachev. It would have blew up the Madison Square Garden. I think conceivably, yes, he could have done it. But he made a fatal flaw and he got crushed. He got cross-faced. He went Octopus and he got cross-faced and Makhachev just slammed him back down. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, powerful. Okay, here it is. Let's see. I'm going to try to put it up for you guys. Anyways, we'll get back to that. It's downloading now. Let's see. What else we got here? Sufimir, I'm going to come back to your question, okay? So I'm going to try to pull up a video to explain it even better. This message is for Hazik Azrai. To answer your question, Islam surpassed GOAT Khabib in the title defenses, but Islam hasn't beaten and will never beat GOAT Khabib's record because of his 1 KO loss. 29-0 Khabib, undisputed. That's from Shiz. Having one loss on your record doesn't take you out of GOAT contention. Look, he surpassed Khabib in the sense that, look, he has 2 wins. He has more consecutive wins, more title defenses. But Khabib is his mentor, and Khabib's father is his mentor. I don't think Islam would ever say, hey, I'm greater than Khabib. And to Khabib, the better Islam does, the more it makes his family look good, the more his tutelage looks good. It's an extension of Khabib's career. It's an extension of Abdul Manap, the greatest combat trainer ever in the history of combat sports. This is it, guys. This is the legacy. This is the best team ever. Okay, and to them, they're not competing with each other. I was listening to their interviews after, and I love what Ali Abdelaziz said after. He said, look at a picture of us 10 years ago. Look at a picture of us now. The same people, the same group. We stayed loyal. We worked together. I love this team. They are, and honestly, I've trained with them. I've worked out with them, and I know them quite well. I know Ali Abdelaziz very well. They're beautiful people. They're honest people. They're good people. They're very loyal. They stand for, doing what's right. They're great people. Incredible human beings. To be fair, he defended himself pretty well against those submissions that Islam would normally get. That's from David L. I totally agree. JDM did a fantastic job defending against submissions. Absolutely. That's the one thing he did better than Poirier, but you have to give it to Poirier as well. Poirier defended the takedowns better. He actually got out of Islam's gut wrench. He used the switch to get out of the gut wrench. He damaged Islam more. He put up a better fight all in all, except for the fact that he got subbed and JDM didn't. What can I say? I think Islam got better as well since the Poirier fight. Craig can't beat the MMA grappling of Dagestani. That's from the ruler formerly. I was listening to Makhachev's interviews, and they're asking him, what did you say to Greg Jones after the fight? And he's like, I told him, hey man, your buggy choke, or something like, it didn't work, you have to come to Dagestan. And Greg told him, he told Khabib, I'm gonna come to Dagestan. He told him, I'll come, which would be great, because trust me, he would love his time in Dagestan. I'm sure he'll enjoy his time there. And it would be really cool to see Craig Jones go there, learn from the Dagestanis. Of course, they're more experienced guys. They're more experienced in wrestling and grappling than us. That's their national sport. They do that since they can walk. They're born and they go straight to the wrestling room, and they're really supported by the government, and they have a very intense program, and they train their entire life to try to reach a gold medal. Their whole thing is combat sports. They're very into it. Now, I'm telling you guys, in the long run, the West is going to catch up. I'm telling you, we're quickly catching up. I've trained with them. They're sophisticated, yes, but we're also very innovative. We're very innovative. I'm telling you, we're going to catch up. It's a matter of time. Jiu-jitsu and MMA and wrestling is so popular in America. It's so popular in the Americas, okay? We're quickly going to catch up. I promise you. I'm telling you, in the next 10, 15 years, 5 years, we're leaps and bounds. We're coming at full speed. Things are going to change, But we have to definitely learn and adapt, and we have to study and understand what went wrong, what happened. We gotta pivot. We gotta call audibles. We gotta make adjustments. We gotta change it a little bit the way we train. We gotta learn from our experiences. And look, this is an experience for everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed the fight. Okay, I did. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the fight. It's just that I'm so how could I say? Look, it happened in the Chimaev DDP fight, and now it happened again. I'm like kind of shocked how easily they're getting the takedowns. It's just so, like, getting the takedown, I would say, is the hardest thing of fighting. It's one of the hardest things, getting the takedown. And they're just doing it to world champions so easily. It's just incredibly astonishing. When can Islam pass GSP? That's from Zakir Khan. Well, that's kind of hard to say, Obviously, I'm super biased, so I can't really comment too much on that. I would be biased, of course, but I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a real tough one. All right. That's nice calming tea for sleep. So hopefully it's going to calm my nerves a bit. Islam will never surpass GSP until it goes up to middleweight. That's from Twaster. I don't think so. That would be crazy. He went up from middleweight to welterweight. He's double champ, just like GSP. Let's go a little easier on Islam here. He's really, first of all, he's a very lovable guy. Number one, I love him because he makes us laugh without even trying. It's kind of like he's just kind of like his broken English, and he's talking and he's kind of saying stuff, and you're kind of get a picture of how he sees the world, and it's kind of hilarious. It's just totally hilarious. Coach, who do you think wins, JDM or Carlos Prates? That's from Musa. That's a good question. Guys, of course, I saw the Leon Edwards Prates fight, and I thought Leon Edwards was doing really well in round one. Really well. He looked sharper than ever. Like, he was looking like really good. And then Prates, of course, caught him with that crazy left hand. But it looked like we had a hungry Leon Edwards. I loved it. I love to see Leon Edwards move like that, attacking, wrestling. It looked like he can be a contender again. It's just he got caught with so much power. And Prates has that lights out one-shot power. And he's a little bit crazy, They were saying he was eating Nutella cake. Islam was saying, I heard Prates was eating Nutella cake the week of the weight cut. The week of the fight, while weight cutting, he was eating Nutella cake. He's a little bit crazy. He smokes at the press conference. He's got crazy power. JDM right now, I think, has lost a little bit of that steam. Prates has got so much confidence, and I hate to say it's mind games, but I think there was a lot of JDM's psyche was, I think, hurt yesterday. I think that's a big blow to his confidence. He got manhandled, where Prates is smoking, eating Nutella cake, and everything's working. And he's still getting KOs. If he was my fighter, I would have slapped that Nutella cake out of his hand. I would have slapped that cigarette out of his hand. Not in front of the cameras, but if he lit up a cigarette in my presence, I would slap that thing right out of his mouth. Yet he still wins. So he's got a confidence where I think, JDM's a tiger. He's a lion. I'm sure he's going to come back stronger than ever. But practice will be a tough fight. Tough fight, man. What is the guard game to use against Islam if you can't stop his takedown? That's from average jiu-jitsu. I would tell you K-guard. If I use K-guard, I know I'm at least going to get up to my feet. Like, it's going to be hard to beat K-guard. So that's why, I love K-guard. I always tell you guys, my favorite guard is K-guard. It's the #1 guard. If I'm in trouble, I go to K-guard. Trust me, I've tested at the highest levels. It is the guard to do. Now, I have an ultimate K-guard video. Check it out. It's a phenomenal video. Guys, but don't sleep on the most important striking video I've ever released. It's up in the top corner of your screen. Commands and signals. Okay, I teach you guys a striking system that's, in my opinion, the best. Check it out. Use holiday 55 off and get 55% off anything on jiu-jitsuclub.com. I know you guys are gonna study this video and you're gonna absolutely love it. Salam alaikum, coach. It's my 1 month anniversary being a member here. Haha. I believe the weight cut was also always Islam's undoing. Now we see his true form. That's from Londos 1995. My brother, thank you for being a member for 1 month. I appreciate the support. I gotta say you are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you very much. And yes, we're talking about that in the pre-fight analysis. I was saying, look, maybe he's gonna be bigger and stronger and better than ever because he was killing himself to make 155. I was in Abu Dhabi and we were watching Khabib fight Dustin Poirier in the back room, and I was sitting next to Islam. And we're all watching the fight together, hanging out. And I'm telling you, he's huge, man. He's big. He's so big. I was like, wow, this guy's a 55er. I'm like, wow, how does he make 55? On fight night, when they squared off, I thought Makhachev was bigger than JDM. And I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. I'm pretty sure Makhachev outweighed JDM. And I would tell you, strength-wise, he overpowered JDM. It was quite easy. I think Makhachev doesn't belong at 155. He was killing himself to make 155. And it's crazy because Khabib is just as big as Makhachev. I'm thinking now, man, maybe Khabib was in the wrong weight class all these years. This one is from Shiz, guys. Shout out to my bro Khamzat. He said it best. Barba, translation, wrestling will belong to Chechnya, Russia, and Dagestan. No one will educate us how to wrestle. Spoke like a boss. I love you. Happy tears, happy tears. Shiz, right now, nobody touches the Russians in wrestling. Right now. But believe me, I'm telling you. Once in a while, America produces a superstar. And it goes there and tortures them. And beats them. So believe me, it goes full circle, okay? Believe me, it's not true that the Russians win all the time, the Dagestanis win all the time in wrestling. Even though, by and large, they definitely win the most gold medals, okay? Russia definitely out-medals the rest of the world in wrestling. And it will probably be continuing to do so. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. Okay, for some reason now I started hearing my own voice. You guys, give me a thumbs up. Do you still hear my voice, please? Guys, give me a thumbs up. Please let me know if you're hearing me loud and clear. All right, guys, I'm waiting for your thumbs up. Let me know if you're hearing me loud and clear. All right. Thank you, boys. Appreciate that. Okay, guys. Yes, of course, Americans win against Russians. I didn't say that. I said, by and large, they have the most gold medals. Let's look it up. Okay, let's fact check. What country has most gold medals in wrestling? What country has most gold medals in freestyle wrestling? Okay, I'm not talking about like Greco and all that. I'll be honest with you, Greco, I don't really know who has the most medals. I don't follow Greco. Okay. That's points. Okay, wait, hold on. Which country gets the most gold medals typically in swimming? Why swimming? Dominate Olympic wrestling. What country dominates Olympic wrestling? Okay, here we go. It's a video. Okay, let's see. NBC Olympics. Okay, wrestling 101. How many gold medals? Oh, man, can't they give a simple answer? Goodness gracious. They want you to read all this crap. Oh, my God. They go into the history of wrestling. Could it be what country has most gold medals in freestyle wrestling? It's a really easy answer. Hold on, let's go to AI. Okay, in Olympic history, the Soviet Union has won the most gold medals overall in wrestling disciplines combined. Okay, so maybe, okay. However, for a breakdown specific to freestyle wrestling gold medals, the data is usually categorized by the International Olympic Committee as all wrestling medals, freestyle and Greco. Okay, so the wrestling committee puts Greco and freestyle together, and that's the Soviet Union. So might be something else if we're talking about just freestyle. Soviet Union, 62 gold medals. United States, 57 gold medals. Okay, it's much closer than I thought. And Japan, 37 gold medals. Russian Federation, I don't know what that is exactly, but okay, so after the USSR. So you'd have to put those together because USSR has 31. So let's call it 62 plus 31. We got 93 gold medals. Okay, so that's why I had it in my head that it's the Russians that have more. Man, I wish it would just give me a simpler answer. Okay, so from my estimate, guys, I don't want to go do a whole research, but from what I understand, the Eastern Bloc, let's just call them the Eastern Bloc, okay, whether they were USSR or Soviet Union or whatever you want to call it, that group of people, they've won the most medals. Okay, look, I don't want to break out into what country has the best wrestling. Yes, Iran has many gold medals. USA is great wrestling. Iran, and look, you could be from Iran and be the world's best wrestler. Absolutely, you can be from America and be the world's best wrestler. Yes, guys, trust me. I know you could be Cuban and be a world champion. I'm with you guys. I'm just saying, by and large, by the numbers, statistically speaking, they have a culture that puts more importance to wrestling. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay. Salam, coach. If someone like Islam will compete in high-level jiu-jitsu, what could be the outcome? Why UFC fighters can't escape Islam's pins? That's from Saeed Noor. Look, if Islam went into like ADCC, he'd probably do very well. But he might lose on stalling rules or whatnot. He's not the best passer. He's the best pinner. Okay? Now, look, in my system of jiu-jitsu, we do so much pinning. Okay? Nowadays, they call it camping. Okay? Which I'm happy to use that term. John Denar was the best at both worlds. He wanted us to transition, and he also wanted us to pin. That's what I loved about John. He wanted us to learn judo and wrestling. He wanted us to learn leg locks and arm bars. He never limited us. He always told us, you got to do it all and then find what you like best. You know, like, I thought it was a brilliant strategy. So we're big on pinning, but some jiu-jitsu guys, because you don't get really points for pinning, you get points for transitioning. Think about it. Jiu-jitsu, you get points for passing, you get points for mounting, you get points for taking the back. And then when the submission only wave came, everybody was like, who cares about if you pass the guard? Just pull for leg locks or jump to a guillotine. They gave up on positioning. But because we're always thinking long term, we're thinking, look, we want to win in jiu-jitsu and we want to win in MMA, we emphasized a lot on pinning. And Makhachev is a great pinner. He's not the best passer. So how would he win in ADCC? People would pull guard on him. He probably wouldn't pass. He would probably get stalling call, lose on a technicality. So because of the rules, he might lose a big match here and there, because I don't think he has the passing pedigree to go to ADCC necessarily and beat somebody with a pass, okay? Like a guy with a superstar type guard. Coach, for us, please let us know if there's any gym you recommend in Toronto. That's from Muhammad E. Muhammad E, we're opening up a TriStar gym in Toronto. It's going to be headed by Steve Sims and Mandel Nallo, 2 black belts of mine. So look out for that in the new year. You're going to have a TriStar gym in Toronto, my friends. Of course, I'll be coming down to visit as well. I think you missed the super chat. What's the next match for Zahabi after Van C? Well, he fought after Vancouver. He beat Chito Vera. Now, right now, we're not sure. We're going to be waiting probably for a fight in the new year. So that remains to be seen. Look, Umar called him out. Maybe it's going to be O'Malley. It's going to be number 1, number 2 guy. So we're going to see Ayman's won 7 fights in a row, alhamdulillah, which is, again, an incredible feat in itself. Now he's looking at the top guys in the division. So we don't know. We're waiting, standing by, see what happens, see what everybody's going to say. You know, what the top guys who make the decisions are going to say. Praveen, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you, sir. Islam hates fighting short guys. He struggles with them. That's from Vladimir. That's such a great observation. Vladimir, you are a gentleman and a scholar yourself. You're right. He does struggle with smaller guys. Why? When you shoot on a smaller guy, their hips are lower to the ground. It's harder to get under. They're closer to the ground. It's harder to take down a Topuria. He's gonna have way more. Guys, he's not gonna do to Topuria what he did to JDM. Please bite your tongue. If you were gonna say something like that, bite your tongue. Don't say anything foolish like that. Okay? It's gonna be a lot harder to take down a Topuria. Now I still pick Makhachev to beat Topuria, but it's gonna be a very difficult fight. And one reason is because Topuria is a much better wrestler than JDM. Topuria is shorter. It's going to be harder to get underneath his hips and get to the legs. It's going to be a way harder order. Okay, look what happened with Volk. It's hard to get under Volk. Guys, I used to train with wrestling with two native brothers. They were like 5'7", 5'6", and over 200 pounds. Shooting in their legs was the dumbest strategy. Shooting on them, wrestling them. There were two native twin brothers, awesome guys, really great guys. They weighed like 240, 230. They were 5'6", like a fire hydrant. Shooting in their legs was like just the dumbest thing you could try to do. It was just crazy. It's just like insane. The guys weigh 100 pounds more than you, and you're gonna, like a guy my size, and you want to shoot in their legs. They're 5'6". It's just so difficult. Of course, even if they were 6'6", it would be difficult. But at least you can get to the leg. You know what I mean? When the guy's that short, it's really hard to get to the leg. Are we living in the golden age of MMA like the 60s, 90s boxing? That's from Thierry. That's a good question. I don't know, man. We're going to have to wait and see. What was the golden era of the welterweight division? Guys, we forget how good Matt Hughes was, how good Frank Trigg was. All these guys, they were studs, man. They were killers. It's just so hard to say. After seeing JDM's performance, it's kind of hard to say yes. Because it seemed like he didn't know. It's like he forgot. It's like he didn't prepare any wrestling. It's like he doesn't wrestle. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't. He's a brilliant guy. I'm just saying if somebody were to watch that fight, if a really good wrestler were to watch that fight, he'd be like, oh, the boxer guy doesn't know any wrestling. He's only been training 1 or 2 years wrestling, which is not true. But that's what's stumping me, is that the guy's a brilliant guy. He's been fighting a long time. People have been trying to take him down for a long time. And here's the thing. When you saw the Gilbert fight, JDM versus Gilbert took him down at will. It's only the Bilal Muhammad fight where he showed difficulty. He showed that wrestlers are going to have difficulty taking him down because Bilal's a brilliant takedown artist. And that's the one fight where you're like, hey, JDM's got good wrestling. He's improved. He's improved his wrestling. Since the Gilbert Burns fight, he's really improved his wrestling because before he was getting taken down and it was kind of easy. Why couldn't Bilal get him down to the ground? I think if Bilal rematches JDM, he starches him. If I think Bilal and JDM rematch, which I think would be a great matchup, I think Bilal beats him. What do you think about the brawl of UFC? That's from JB19. I saw a video of Dylan Dennis getting smacked around. Now look, I'll tell you something. Dylan Dennis is an instigator. Guys, you can't blame the Dagestanis for beating him up. A guy's yapping. He's insulting you. He's making fun of you. He's insulting you. Guys, that's the thing. That's what people don't understand. Freedom of speech. Okay, freedom to defend my respect, my honor. You know, like somebody's talking smack about me, I might do something about it. But then you cry. You know, he shouldn't cry about it. Look, if you're going to talk tough, if you're going to rock the boat, don't cry about it. Don't cry to me about it when somebody smacks you. Like, I'm not going to say anything. To me, it's none of my business. Somebody put up a video once of Khabib after every one of his fights, and you see he's shaking his opponent's hand and hugging him and like showing him respect. After he beat Dustin Poirier, he put on the Dustin Poirier t-shirt. He showed respect to Poirier and his family. There's only one fight where Khabib flipped out and started fighting to the corner. One fight. And it's not because he's not a nice guy and he's short-tempered. It's because the other side said and did things that were absurd. the whole bus incident, the insults online, the going after the family, going after religion, insulting your wife, all these things. These things you can't do, guys. You can't do. And then when you see the guy you insulted and he wants to hit you, you're like, oh, well, freedom of speech. No, it doesn't work that way, guys. It doesn't work that way. Freedom of speech is like, okay, express your opinion, your beliefs, your critiques of other people's stances or whatever. That's fine. But when you go and personally insult somebody, in my book, like, you shouldn't do that. And if somebody does something about it, well, you called on it. I have no pity for Dylan Dennis. Honestly, I find it just like stupid what he does. In a way, guys, I'm happy he got smacked around. I'm happy. I can't say that if I was there, I wouldn't have smacked him myself. All right, I'm trying to find you that video. No, not this one. Wet. Okay, what else do we have here? Yes, Dylan Dennis got smacked around. I heard about it. I don't pity the guy because he asks for it, man. You make fun of people, you insult people online. Then when you see them in real life, you're like, hey, you hit me, you slapped me. Well, what can I tell you, man? Coach, you thought on Ethan Ewing? Wow, what a performance. What a fight. Malcolm and Ethan put on a crazy fight. If you guys didn't watch it, go watch on that fight. He took the fight on like 3 or 4 days notice. He won a title outside in a regional division that gets a call for UFC fighting Malcolm. Malcolm's a killer. It was a seesaw battle. I watched it very late at night, so I was like kind of falling asleep because I watched it after the main card and I went back to watch the prelims and all that. And that's after hanging out with my wife and all that. So it was really late. I got to go back and rewatch it, but what a crazy fight, man. What a crazy seesaw battle. Both guys showed a lot of heart, a lot of grit. I really actually want to rewatch that fight tonight, hopefully, but it was a crazy fight. If you guys didn't see it, go check it out. Incredible performance. Comes out, makes his UFC debut 4 days notice after winning a regional title. Incredible. Hey, Faraz, thank you for your stream. Gary, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you, sir. Joshua, that question. Oh, all right. That's not for me. Boss, thoughts on Islam versus Ilya? That's from Navdeep. Navdeep, I'll tell you something. I heard Islam wants to do it at the White House. He wants to fight Ilya at the White House. That would be crazy. Ilya Topuria versus Islam Makhachev at the White House event. Now, at this point, I guess it's just a rumor, but that would be crazy. Wow. GSP was good for his era, but grappling has evolved a lot. Let me tell you something. We're very much on the cutting edge of grappling. Believe me when I tell you. We still work with John Denar. We still work with all the grapplers. I just trained with Big Dan actually yesterday actually. He gave a great seminar at TriStar Gym. We always bring in the talented black belts to come and upgrade our game. And no, we're very much into the nuances. And I'll tell you something. Nothing Islam did we didn't do 10 years ago. But I'll tell you something. Nothing. And I will tell you something. There are little things he could fix even. Okay, of course, he did it brilliantly and beautifully, but there's always little things to fix. But trust me, we know that game very, very well. I think he grew up watching GSP, and that's what he did on Saturday night. Look, Khabib's told me personally, and he said it publicly, that his father's favorite fighter was George St. Pierre. So Khabib's father and his trainer, Abdul Manap, says his favorite fighter was George St. Pierre. Khabib told me that himself personally. I've hung out with Khabib and his dad. We've had a long discussion. We've hung out, me, Khabib, and his dad talking. And his dad doesn't speak English. Khabib was always translating for me and his dad, going back and forth. And I would tell you that I have the utmost respect for his dad. And that's before Khabib was a superstar and a champion. Khabib was good back then. We knew he was really good, but he wasn't the champ like he is now. He's not the legend now. So we're talking about back in the day here. Guys, one time I was in England and I was sitting down and the media was like asking me all sorts of questions. They were doing interviews with me and I was like, hey, you guys should be interviewing Mr. Nurmagomedov over here, Abdul Manap. And they're like, oh, who is he training? I say, he trains Khabib. He trains a whole host of guys. And I asked the media to interview him. I asked one journalist, ask him questions. He's the one who trains Khabib. And Khabib was fighting Ferguson. I know they were scheduled 4 times. This is one of the earlier ones. And I was like, we're asking him about questions about Ferguson. We had a translator come in. One of the fighters was translating for him. And he was, he was giving props to Ferguson. It's going to be a tough fight for Khabib and how they prepared and what they're thinking. And I was just a big fan of Ferguson and Khabib at that time. Well, I still am, of course. All right, guys, let me see if this video finally downloaded. All right, here it is, guys. We're going to see the mistake that JDM made.
My body through, and now look, instead of chasing the tricep, I went to chase the legs. Neil, can you just tuck your left elbow in? See how he tucked his left elbow in? But tuck your left elbow in. Now look,
This is crazy because this is exactly what happened in the fight, man. It's just insane.
come up to the elbow, forward and towards the legs. Push his tricep, don't move. When I duck under his arm, and I'm going to Octopus, I don't want to travel towards the legs. Decide. I'm defending here. Go toward, try to drive forward. When you go forward and towards the legs, my partner now can start to face me here in crossface. So you can start to crossface and start to...
Oh, my God. This is exactly what happened in the fight, guys. Look at this. Look at this, okay? Look at this. This is my... Hold on. Let me get the exact name of the video. This is exactly what happened in the fight. Exactly. Oh, my God. This is just crazy, man. It's my last grappling video that I released. It's Powerful Guard Retention Volume 3, Countering Half Guard Pressure. Okay, that's a great title. I don't have it memorized, but look. I'm talking about when to go Octopus. Okay, look, you're going Octopus. Let's go Octopus. You want to go Octopus? Okay, you can go Octopus. But listen.
They try to drive forward and towards the legs. When you go forward and towards the legs, my partner now can start to face me here in crossface. So you can start to cross.
JDM went towards the legs. You're not supposed to go towards the legs. You're supposed to go towards the tricep when you duck under. Okay, but here's what happened. There's a lot more to see what happens. Look how Neil is cross-facing me here. Okay, you guys can see it. Okay, JDM got cross-faced yesterday.
And start to put me back on my back here. You can force me on my back. Whenever I'm framing inside his arm and I decide to lift his elbow and duck my body underneath, I start by passing my arm, ducking in my whole body. As soon as I clear his arm, I start to attack his tricep with my tricep. I start to reach back and start to expand. And
that's what JDM didn't do. He didn't reach back. He reached forward, so he got crushed. If he reached back, he could have created separation between Makhachev's legs and arms.
Whenever I come up to my elbow, I don't want to be facing like so.
See this? This is huge. This is what JDM made a huge mistake. He was facing away from his opponent. He should have been facing towards the mat. Watch this.
This is no good. I want to always look down towards the mat. If Neil tries to cross face me now and my face is down towards the mat.
This is what I was saying earlier. JDM could have got a sweep. If you're facing down towards the mat and the guy cross faces you, and indeed Makhachev did cross face him.
Go ahead. He'll be able to reach for my face, but he won't be able to stop me from bumping him over. Can you cross face me? Look, I'm going to be able to bump him over. Okay, that's when the hip bump sweep is going to come in really handy. Okay, let's rewind.
I don't know if you guys can see this well.
I shoot under his arm and I expand my chest and my arms and I look forward like so. Neil could reach back now, cross face me, and now pin me. See, if I try to hip bump sweep now, it won't be possible. It won't be possible. Let's go back.
This is exactly what happened to JDM.
When I shoot my knee like so, my leg is acting as like an underhook. Okay, I don't want him to get this arm. underneath my arm. Now he's gonna start to pin me, crush.
Did I skip the video? Damn it, don't tell me I skipped it. Oh. I reset the video. Damn it, hold on. I gotta replay it again. Then I'll show you the solution. Oh, goodness gracious. I skipped the video for some reason. I pushed a button. Damn it. Don't worry, I'm gonna find it real quick. It's exactly what happened. It's the exact mistake that I'm like explaining what not to do. And it's a very common mistake. All right, let's go, man. How much stuff did I cover? Goodness gracious. Okay, here it is. We're an octopus. Nope. Why did I push the wrong button? Oh, no, this is a different video that popped up. That's my half guard video. Damn it. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, here it is.
I keep my eyes down to the mat.
Guys, when you shoot an octopus, you got to keep your eyes down and to the mat. JDM did not keep his eyes down to the mat.
Neil, can you cross face me now? Now he has to reach so far back that I can hip bump him over. His upper body had to travel past his hips, and it's going to make the hip bump sweep very easy. Okay? He will not be able to cross face me if my head is down. Okay? So I clear his arm. Once I clear the arm, I attack tricep to tricep. Freeze, don't move. I don't want.
JDM was not tricep to tricep. That's why he got crushed.
I want to go here like so, and you see I disconnected. Now Neil could tuck his elbow in. No, tuck your elbow in between me and you. Tuck your elbow. See, he could tuck his elbow in between me and him. Let's do it again. When I shoot my arm through, let me shoot my arm through. Look, I didn't connect tricep to tricep. No, disconnect. Now he's going to tuck his elbow in. See, he's going to tuck his elbow in. He's going to cross face me now from the inside. That's another problem when you go octopus. Okay, let's go back again. Neil's trying to cross face. I pummel my body through. And now look, instead of chasing the tricep, I went to chase the legs. Neil, can you just tuck your left elbow in? See how he tucked his left elbow in? Go ahead, tuck your left elbow in. And now look, he's going to start cross facing me here. Okay, it's really bad. Bad for me. Rotate. When I shoot through his arm, past his arm, look how I attack the tricep. See? Now can you tuck your elbow in? See how I'm trapping his lat here? Tuck your elbow in, Neil. Tuck your elbow. He can't tuck his elbow in. Neil, can you cross face me? Look, my head is down. As soon as he cross faces me, now I'm going to hip bump sweep. Okay? So now.
Could you imagine if JDM hit that hip bump sweep on Makhachev? The Madison Square Garden would have exploded. It would have been out of control. What can I say, guys? Look, it's not easy. Even with that information, it's not easy to do octopus guard. That's why it's like halfway through my video, because I always show the most important moves first, and I wouldn't use this move unless it's a particular situation. Coach, surely you're able to share the screen on your live stream as a purple belt button pusher. That's from Saga. No, I wish I could. It would just take too long, and it would take me. I'd have to figure it out. It'd take forever. I actually like using my laptop. It's easier. It's easier. I don't know if it came off well, but it's easier. Boss, thoughts on Jake versus Joshua boxing? That's from Nav Deep. From what I understand, that fight's not happening, but that would be a very dangerous fight for Jake. Very dangerous. But that would blow my mind if they signed that fight. It will be like, wow. All right, guys. What can I say? No questions on any other fights. It was a crazy card. It was a crazy card. Lots of fights. Man, I don't know what it is with YouTube, but it has so many, like, it lags so much. It's out of control. Morales versus Brady. Landon Martin, you're a brilliant guy. That was a crazy fight. Morales versus Brady. I'm telling you, Morales is a superstar in the making. He needs refinement. He has so much talent. It's crazy. He grew up with 2 judoka parents, yes, but he's a superstar, talented puncher. His grappling, his jiu-jitsu, it's not on point. Okay, it's not the star of the show. The star of the show is his hands. He's got hands of stone. Under the tutelage of the right trainer, I think he could be a megastar. Megastar. He's not ready for Makhachev, in my opinion. He's not. But he could be a megastar. Bo Nickal head kick KO. That's from Dr. Zay. I did see the Bo Nickal head kick KO. It was very brutal. I didn't watch the entire fight. I want to go back and watch the entire fight, but I did see some of it, and I did see the brutal head kick KO. Wow. Very, very, very scary KO. Vieira was out for a long time. It was a scary KO. I hope he's making a quick recovery. I hope he's feeling better already. But it was a scary KO, definitely. Who would win, Prime Kumaru, Usman, or Islam? That's from John Dung. I would pick Makhachev. Makhachev has some very powerful strikes, and I just trust his grappling way more. His grappling on the ground is just vicious. So I think they would get each other down, but when Islam would get Umar down, when he would get Usman down, he would just be more dominant. He would take the back. He would get closer to submission and maybe even get submissions. Coach, everyone is talking about Islam and Ilya, but I'm thinking Khamzat and Islam for undisputed GOAT status. What do you think? That's from Shax. I don't think we're ever going to see Khamzat making 170 again. I don't think the UFC would trust him to make 170. That would be crazy. It would be crazy if Khamzat pressured the UFC and was adamant about making 170, hired a nutritionist, did everything he has to do, went on long runs, did the road work he has to do to get back to 170. Because the thing is, it's possible to get back to 170. And he fought Makhachev. It would be colossal. It would be probably the biggest fight in UFC history. All right, I don't know why, but this thing is lagging big time today. All right, all right. All right, don't spam, guys. If you spam, you're gonna get timeout. Salam, coach. It's me again. I think the welterweight division is the best ever. 1 to 10 is stacked. I really don't know who they match next. That's from Londos. Londos. Look, you had Morales with an incredible big win, but he still hasn't hit his superstardom that he's going to hit, I think, very shortly. You have Prates, who's got, he's intriguing the crowd because he smokes and all that stuff. And you got other big names, but who can challenge Makhachev at 170? It's got to be Topuria. I don't know, he's not even in the top 10, not top 15 welterweight, but he could skip the line. All he's got to do is tell Dana, hey, I want to fight Makhachev. That's all it is. He's just got to say the word Makhachev, and he said it already. He can go up to 170 and make the biggest payday probably in the history of UFC. Islam Makhachev and Ilya Topuria would probably make the biggest payday in the history of UFC if they did a mega fight, champion versus champion, at 170. Now it Ilya Topuria moving up to 170, the repeat. You had Makhachev go for 155 to 170. Now you have Ilya Topuria go for 155 to 170. What a crazy buildup that would be. It would be insane. Should Benny retire? That's from Sahil. Yes, I would think Benil Dariush. I think it's time for him to retire. I love the guy. He's one of the top fighters. He's an incredible human being. But I think it's time for him to retire. He got knocked out again. It's been one too many times. And for his health, for his family's future, his future, I think the right time to hang up the gloves. And I say that, of course, with the utmost respect, because I'm a big fan of Benil Dariush. I just think once you get stopped like that, the fight was 16 seconds in. I mean, it's just too much on the body, I think. Can Ilya Topuria actually do well at welterweight? That's from Masih. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think he's tailor-made to give Islam Makhachev trouble. He's powerful and he's short. A powerful puncher with short legs, it's going to be hard to double leg him. Salam, Coach, what's your take on Team Khabib saying that they want Umar to possibly fight your brother Ayman Zahabi? That's from Talal. Well, that's might be a fight that we might have to do next. I mean, Umar has been on a tear. He lost only to the champ. He had a very dominant win over Mario Batista. So Ayman's on a tear also. He's on a 7-fight win streak. He's beat 3 big names in the bantamweight division, 3 legends in UFC. He's beaten Munoz, he's beaten Aldo, and now he's beaten Chito. So look, that might be the next clash. That's just the way things might get matched up. And if that's what it is, that's what we're going to do. Coach, no fight will ever be bigger than Conor versus Khabib. That's from Tito. Tito, I got to tell you, that was a mega fight, man. That was one of the most anticipated fights in history. I got to tell you, I don't know if any other fight will ever match that. That's crazy. For me, personally, in my journey, of course, the fighters I trained, for me, all of the fights were super anticipated. My brother's fights, of course, because this is my brother. George, when he fought BJ Penn, that was like a crazy anticipation. I mean, we've had so many big fights. But outside the guys I train, because for sure, for me personally, from where I'm sitting, those were more anticipated. But as a spectator, there was no fight I ever anticipated more than Khabib versus Conor McGregor. You're 100% correct. That's just a mega fight. I don't know if we'll ever top that one. Who is tougher for Islam, Topuria or Usman? That's from Ala Kazam. Ala Kazam, I'll tell you, Usman is super dangerous and tough, and he's a legend. But as of now, right now, Topuria would be tougher because he's shorter. And I think it's harder to take down a short, stocky, knockout puncher than Usman. I think he'll take Usman down here and there. Usman will take him down here and there. But the grappling differential will be on Makhachev's side, so it's a better fight for Makhachev. Whereas Topuria is going to be just simply hard to take down. Coach is gaslighting Ilya fans. That's from Married. No. I'm not. I'm telling you, I love Ilya Topuria. I love his fight style. I love his technique. I love his skill. He's a genius. The guy's a genius. And I think he's going to be super hard for Islam Makhachev only because, not only because, but one thing is because he's shorter. Sometimes the short, powerful guys, man, are the scariest. They're the scariest. Thoughts on Shevchenko versus Islam? That's from Masih. Masih, I'll tell you, man, I love Shevchenko. I don't know if he has the star power to just bypass everybody. He's definitely got the talent. He's definitely got the winning record. He's definitely got everything. However, the fans just don't know him enough. I know you guys know him because you guys are hardcore fans. But the average ticket buyer wants to see a fight between two guys they're very familiar with. It's kind of a weird thing because we're so familiar with them. We watch all their fights. But the casual fan doesn't care to buy a pay-per-view unless they know that guy and they've seen that guy. And that guy has like a lot of charisma and like they have an intrigue to that character. Shevchenko's very reserved. He does all his talking with his fighting. And for marketing purposes, I'm telling you, UFC takes that into account. They want to sell out. They want to do the big numbers. They want to pay, a big payday. They're a company like everybody else, right? They want to make more profit than they have loss. So Shafkat might have to wait until he gets like a really famous win, or somehow starts talking and like intriguing people a little more. Big fan of you since GSP days. You are a legend, my brother. Train on your gym, Ayas, and my middle brother Faisal was in your gym and took pic with you. Love you, brother. May God be with you. That's from Jalal. Jalal, Jazakallah khair. Thank you for the donation. You're a gentleman, a scholar. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And you're always welcome to the gym. Inshallah, I'll see you again. I'm not impressed with your marketing, Dana St. Pierre. Steve Harrison. Shafkat's marketing is not the best, even though his fighting is incredible. Coach, did you notice similarities between JDM and Peter Yan? Uh-oh. I was reading a sentence and it's... Oh, okay, there it is. Sorry, man. It skipped on me and now I found it again. Coach, did you notice similarities between JDM and Peter Yan's stance where they covered their upper body, which created setup for takedown? Peter Yan was taken down every time when he fought Merab and Aljo. That's from Yosef. Yosef, you're a genius, man. I'm telling you, I didn't like the JDM stance where he had his hands up like this, all tucked in. Man, you're going to get taken down. You're fighting Islam Makhachev. I would have used a maybe different stance. I totally agree with you. Yes, he left himself open. I'm not going to speak to Peter Yan. I think Peter Yan uses more of a long guard, and I think that's more defensive against takedowns. But strictly for JDM stance, I don't think he was in a position to really defend takedowns, and that was a major part of why he got taken down so easily. JDM needed to fight with his hands down. That's from Loyal Dog. Yes, but then you might get punched by Makhachev right in the face. You know, Makhachev is a dangerous, heavy puncher. It's easier said than done. You know, just go in there and put your hand down. With the little gloves, and the guy's a powerhouse and he's jacked. It's a scary thing. Look, it's doable, but it's a fine line. You could also just easily get KO'd. Coach, couldn't Islam just clinch Topuria up and big brother him? He'd be massive in comparison. That's from Shafiq. No, my friends, because his hips are so much lower. It's not easy to judo throw him. When the guy's hips are really low and he's a powerhouse and he's a Greco background, Topuria is himself an excellent wrestler. He's not naive to the wrestling. Okay, he's not gonna be taken down easily. Morales is terrifying. Indeed, he is, my friends. Yes, Morales is terrifying, but I will tell you something. On his back, he won't be terrifying, and that's where Makhachev would put him. In the first 2-3 minutes of the fight, at most, he'd probably very likely have practice on his back. And I don't care if you're Mike Tyson. If you're on your back, you're not as dangerous in the striking. You know, you're off your feet. You need to be on your feet to generate that much force. So it can happen. You hurt somebody from the bottom, but it's very, very rare. So it wouldn't be so scary. It wouldn't be so dangerous if Makhachev could comfortably get him to the ground. Salam, Coach. Opinion on Bo Nickal's striking improvement. That's from the man from Nepal. My brother from Nepal. Look, I didn't watch the fight that closely. I was at dinner. I played it in the background. You know, I didn't want to take attention away from the dinner we were having with friends and family. So I just kind of like snuck a peek. And then later on, I just looked at the KO kick. So I didn't really get a good look at the Bo Nickal fight. Okay, so I want to maybe watch it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll probably have time to watch it. I watched the main card completely. It was incredible, an incredible card. I saw a little bit of the Bo Nickal fight. I saw a little bit of the Wellmaker. I saw most of the Wellmaker fight, and that's about it. I want to go back and watch every single fight. But unfortunately, I can't comment on Bo Nickal because I just didn't get a good look. Guys, you got to think about it. I'm away so many weekends out of the year. When I'm home and there's a dinner, I can't say no, and I can't start watching fights. You know, I think my wife eventually is going to hit me in the head with a big rock or something. I want to see the rematch. That's from Weimast. Nobody wants to see a rematch between Makhachev and JDM. If that's what you're hinting at, there ain't going to be no rematch unless JDM wins probably two big fights. He's got to go fight Morales. He's got to go fight Bilal again. If Bilal beats Ian, it's going to be a tough fight between both those two. He's got to beat somebody who's on the rise, and he's got to beat him convincingly because UFC won't match them again, and the fans won't pay to see it. Nobody wants to see. If you rebook that fight 6 months from now, nobody would want to watch it. Everybody would be like, hey, this is just going to be takedown after takedown and dominance after dominance. And we saw this fight already. Nobody will want to see this fight again unless JDM reinvents himself. Salam from South Africa, coach. It looks like DDP and JDM went with the same strategy of ill get up when taken down instead of sprawling and defending the takedown. Do you think this could work in theory? That's from Ishmael. Yes, it can work in theory. I've seen guys get taken down multiple times, keep getting up, and the takedown artist is getting tired and gets sloppy and gets knocked out. I've seen that strategy work. It can work. But when you have Islam Makhachev is so good at pinning and controlling, it didn't work. So it depends. Are you better at getting up than the guy is at pinning you? Who is the best fighter in your opinion that never won the title in UFC? Rory, Gegard, Axiom? That's from Axiom. I would say Rory McDonald. He was 3 rounds up on Robbie Lawler. He was down 1 round and up 3, and if we went into the 5th, all Rory had to do was just stay standing on his feet. But unfortunately, in that fight, he broke his nose. Okay, so he broke his nose, and he just couldn't keep going. He didn't get hit with a big shot necessarily in round 5. He just got touched. His nose got touched, and unfortunately, he got a broken nose in the earlier rounds. I can't remember which round it was. I think it was 2nd or 3rd. But Rory was doing so well, and he nearly stopped Robbie. Big John almost stopped it. And the horn sounded off, and Robbie was wobbling on his feet. For those of you who don't remember, Robbie was wobbling on his feet. The fight was almost over. Like a few more seconds, Rory was putting on the finishing touches. But Robbie came back, and Rory had a broken nose. And when he got tagged, he had to go down because he just couldn't. He had to protect his nose. His nose was too much pain. Thanks for these streams. Grateful for the wisdom. That's from Alakazam. Alakazam, you're a gentleman, a scholar. Thank you, sir. Shukran, coach. How much is the jiu-jitsu dummy effective to learn jiu-jitsu moves? May Allah look after you, coach. That's from the man. The man from Nepal, I imagine. Jazakallahu khair, my brother. I really appreciate you. You're a gentleman, a scholar. And yes, I really do like using jiu-jitsu dummies. I have them in the gym. I like drilling on them, especially for guard passing and stuff like that. And I use them all the time, and ground and pound stuff, strategy, stuff like that. Of course, drilling with a partner is great. I have a grappling dummy in my house. I make my kids use it sometimes. I use it myself, when I'm doing a solo workout or whatever. I think they're very effective. I just don't think you can go from white belt to black belt working with a dummy. Of course not. You need a practice room, okay? But they do fill in the gaps, and they do help. Let's say you're going to work early in the morning, and you want to do your jiu-jitsu drills in the morning, and you don't have a partner. A grappling dummy would be great, and then in the evening, maybe a few times a week, you go to the gym, and a few times a week, you're home. The wife goes to bed. You work on the grappling dummy or the punching bag in the garage or whatever. So you got to learn to train on your own. You could be shadow boxing, working with a kettlebell, and grappling dummy is another good tool to have. So personally, I think they're great. Coach, how many times would my untrained friend Tony have to get in the cage with Ilya before he lasts 5 rounds? My buddy says after 1 million attempts. That's from Charles. You're telling me untrained? 1 million is a huge number. Like, eventually Ilya will probably break his hand on the top of his head, and there will be a freak occurrence. But if you got like no injury, no freak occurrence, like Ilya kicks your friend in the head and like breaks his foot because some freak kick accident, or like no freak accident, he never wins. Freak accidents, okay, maybe, I don't know, at 500,000 attempts, maybe there's a freak occurrence where, I don't know, Ilya was stepping and stumbles on his own foot and shatters his ankle in 5 different places. But it wouldn't be because of the prowess of your friend. He would just be a helpless victim. Coach, what are your thoughts on Moneyberg's black belt? Legit or flaw in jiu-jitsu? That's from Pablo. Pablo, honestly, I don't know much about the guy. I saw a video of him striking, very beginner striking, that's for sure. Grappling, I don't know. And I know he's a huge individual. He's a big guy. So I've never seen the guy move around. I've never seen it. So I don't know. And I don't know why anybody really cares. Who cares? I'm not interested in the guy's grappling ability. Coach C, who do you think is the best challenge for Khamzat? I like Fluffy. He's unpredictable and comfortable under pressure. That's from Steve. Steve, Fluffy would be a good fight. It would be a very interesting fight. I don't know how much they can market it as a mega fight, but it would be a good fight. For us, the hardcore fans, we would definitely love to see that. Coach, how has a slugger like Morales not been countered yet? That's from Tafara. Look, he's a slugger, but don't underestimate sluggers. There are sluggers that become world champion in boxing, and they beat great counterpunchers. I'm forgetting now the guy who tuned up Mayweather. He really tuned him up. The Mexican guy. He carries Mayweather's tooth as a necklace. He broke Mayweather's tooth. They picked it up off the apron, and he wears it as a necklace. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name. You guys know it. And that guy's a slugger. Sluggers with good timing are incredibly dangerous. Fedor was a slugger. A slugger is when you drop your hand down to the hip and you wing it. You know, you're not punching by the orthodox method of straight lines. There have been many great sluggers in history. Jack Dempsey was a slugger. Look, I can go on and on. Don't sleep on the slugging. I actually teach slugging. And one day I'm going to come out with an instructional video on how to slug intelligently. It's a style. I have a very orthodox style, and then sometimes I spice it up with some slugs. And let me tell you something. It works. It's a very smart system. It comes down to timing and knowing where to be when you're actually slugging, because slugging is how you generate maximum power. You put any superstar to punch those, punch meter things, and they all throw a slug. Why? That's how you generate crazy power and close crazy distance. So I'm not going to hate on the sluggers. It just depends how good your timing is. And I've seen some very, very talented sluggers, and they're very scary and dangerous. But look, it's a matter of time, too. Eventually, he probably will get countered. I could see Pratis outsmarting Morales. That's from Jason C. I agree with you there. I will agree with you. Pratis would be a dangerous fight for Morales, but also so would Morales be for Pratis. Those are two guys with crazy KO power. That would be an incredible match. Pratis versus Morales. That would be crazy. That would be a crazy 5-round main event, title elimination. Winner gets Islam Makhachev. I would definitely tune in. Good evening, Coach. Is there any instructionals you provide that can help us grapple or MMA fighters get better taking our opponents standing up? I don't know what that means. Are you talking about wrestling? Good evening, Coach. Is there any instructional you provide that can help us grapplers or MMA fighters get better taking our opponents standing up? I think you mean stopping your opponents from standing up. If that's the case, well, my passing videos, because my passing videos are all kind of pins, and I have a really good video. It's called Control Freak, Side Control. It's all how to pin a guy and crush him and just take the life out of him. So check out my series. It's called Control Freak. I have Control Freak from the back and Control Freak from Side Control. Eventually, I'm going to do a new series on Control Freak and show some more pins, how to pin a guy and just never let him move. But definitely check out Control Freak. It's really great. I still use a lot of that stuff till today, most of it till today. I've refined new stuff, of course. We've discovered new things and refined stuff, but that's a great video. Oh, taking down. Well, I have Okay, so you mean taking down. I have really good wrestling videos. If you go on jujiclub.com, I used to have the reviews, and on BJ Fanatics, I have some of my videos, my wrestling videos made easy. Read the reviews. Everybody loves my teaching of wrestling. Why? Because I kind of teach it like I teach jiu-jitsu. I break it down and what makes the move work, what doesn't make the move work. Here are the common mistakes, and here are what the things that make the guy fall to the floor. So check out those videos. And I'm going to be doing more wrestling videos soon. I have a whole script of stuff written out, and wrestling videos is definitely one of them. But I have wrestling made easy, underhook made easy, overhook made easy. Those three videos, man, don't miss out on those 3 videos. Why do you think Craig Jones is constantly failing to game plan when facing Islam? Now 0-4 against Islam. Why 0-4? So 2 times Volkanovski, 1 time JDM. What's the other one? How's he 0-4? Who's the other guy he cornered against Islam? Let's look that up. Am I forgetting somebody? Am I forgetting somebody? I gotta lower these lights. Give me 1 second. Okay, he beat. Dustin Poirier, Volkanovski, Volkanovski twice. Oh, Dan Hooker. Is Dan Hooker? But Dan Hooker's from New Zealand. Are you guys considering him Australian? Did he work with, maybe it's Dan Hooker? Did he work with Craig Jones? Dan Hooker. Okay, so you guys, well, I don't know if you consider him Australian. He's from New Zealand, but I guess probably he went down to work with Craig Jones. Okay, look, I'll tell you something. It has nothing to do with Craig Jones. Craig Jones is a brilliant grappler. He's a brilliant grappler. It's just that it takes a long time. Look, imagine you're training a purple belt. Okay, you're a really great trainer. You're training a purple belt. And your purple belt's going up against a really good black belt. And you're a great trainer. And you train that purple belt. And you train him for a long time. You train him for like 2 months. Do you think your purple belt's going to beat that black belt? And if he doesn't, is that because you're not a good trainer? Well, if you had more years and more time, because here's the thing. You guys might get like footage of what Islam's been doing in the last 6 weeks of training camp. And he might be posting it because he's a person of interest, right? He's fighting soon. So people want to like watch the build up. But his success doesn't have to do with what he did in the last 6 weeks. It has to do with what he did in his entire life. So in his entire life, he's been in a practice room with great grapplers and wrestlers, like serious wrestlers and grapplers. And then he's fighting JDM, who's been in the practice room with serious grapplers and wrestlers for a very small amount of time. Australia is not known for its wrestling pedigree, just to be fair. Okay, they're not known for its wrestling, their wrestling pedigree. So he doesn't have that culture. He didn't grow up in that wrestling culture. They're great at rugby. Imagine Islam's playing against JDM in rugby. Well, he'd probably be a little bit lost, And okay, you could teach Islam a bunch of stuff, but still, you don't have the years of training. So it's not realistic to ask Craig Jones to fix everything in just 2-3 months. It just doesn't make sense. For sure, he can make an improvement. For sure, he can make a difference, but not rehaul the whole game, All right, guys. It is near midnight. Let's end it on something fun and light. It was a crazy card. We didn't talk about too much about the other fights, but I still thought it was a crazy card. When I used to do these AMAs, it used to tell me how much time I've been running. I don't even know how long this podcast has been going on. It used to have a timer up in the corner. It doesn't have it no more. Guys, you know what? Here's an interesting topic, something to discuss, light and easy. Tomorrow, I'm no longer driving a gas car. I'm going to go full electric, guys. Full electric. I'm doing it. Why? I can't stand going to the gas station. I hate it. I hate going to the gas station. I drive a Mini Coupe. I used to drive a Mini Coupe, and it's always breaking down. Oh, my God, man. I can't stand the fact that I get it fixed, and then 6 months later, I have the same problem. I get it fixed again. 3 months later, I have a related problem. It's just like, how many times could a car break down? I'm like, no more. I did my research, and these EVs, these electric vehicles, there's no maintenance, almost no maintenance. They say it's only tires. I did a deep research. Like, how do I stop wasting time with my car? Like, I got to go from home to the gym. I got to travel. I don't want any breakdowns. I don't want to have to call a tow truck. I don't want to have to go see the mechanic. I don't want to have to stop at the gas station. I just want to get from home to work, from home to work, from home to the gym. Is it so complicated? Well, right now I got an EV. I'm going to have the charger at home. I don't have to stop at a gas station no more, which I despise, man. In Canada, especially in the winter, they'll be like, you'll finish training. You'll go to the gas station. It's like 5-6 cars. They're all piling up. They're all taking their time. Everybody's freezing. Everybody's in a bad mood. Everybody's rushing for the pumps. It's like such a nightmare. Now, no more. I come home. I plug the car. I go to bed, wake up. The car's charged. And I calculated it's going to cost me less than $1 a day. $1 a day of electricity. Less than $1 a day. That's crazy. I was like, why am I spending money on gas when I could just buy an EV? And literally, it's not even going to cost me $1. But at most, my calculation is like 70 cents a day. And that's low. It's like 30 cents to 70 cents a day. So 70 cents will be the top end. That's a crazy bargain. I'm going to be spending maybe like, maybe I'm going to do some extra driving on the weekend. Maybe like $10. Let's call it crazy. Let's go crazy. $10 of electricity a week on travel, on commute. Instead of like what I usually spend, like $80 to $100 a week on gas. Craziness. I'm finally doing the jump. And I was always nervous. What if I have to drive somewhere far and this and that. I got my wife's car. She's got a gas car. We're going to have one gas car, one EV. Guys, let me know. Do you guys have electric vehicles out there? Do people... Because I did the jump. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. I researched it. I'm confident in my decision. Tomorrow, I'm full electric, guys. I can't believe it. It's crazy. We didn't even talk about the Shevchenko fight. Like, just barely mentioned it. It wasn't the most exciting fight. I'll give you guys that. It was still a historic fight. Just, I guess people thought it was a snoozer. Alex says no to EV. I know a lot of people hate EVs, man. A lot of people are like, oh, they just hate it. But I didn't buy Tesla. No way. I'm not buying Tesla. I bought an Ioniq. I bought an Ioniq 5. And I'll never buy something from Elon Musk. Thoughts on Zoran Mamdani? Why are some people so charismatic and to a whole different level where their energy infects everyone? I gotta admit, that was from Bing side. I will tell you, Mamdani is incredibly charismatic. I have to admit that. And when you hear him talk, you just have this positive energy. I like him. I like Mamdani. He wants to tax the rich, which I find is a little risky because the rich are usually going to bribe politicians to like kill those rules, So I don't know. A lot of people are scared. Oh, well, the rich are all going to leave New York. I highly doubt that, but I also wary of like scaring the rich off, I think there's balance. You have to balance, You don't want to scare them off, but also you don't want to let them get away with murder. Thoughts and insights on the UFC betting scandal. That's from Elliot. Elliot, I saw that fight in question, and I'll tell you something. I wouldn't say it looked fake. I wouldn't say, if I watched that fight, I wouldn't think, hey, that was a fake fight. But after you tell me there was a betting scandal and I watch it again, I'm like, maybe he was kind of letting things... Maybe he was kind of letting these things happen. He could have fought harder. He could have went... I'm not familiar with the guy's level. But man, when I first watched it, I didn't think, hey, that's a fixed fight. No, I definitely didn't. No, for us, not the Ioniq. I'm sorry, but when I took a look at them on the streets, I feel sorry for the drivers. That's from Zubair. Zubair, no, I liked it. I took it for a test drive. They gave it to me for a day, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It felt like I was driving the DeLorean. Like the Back to the Future car. I loved it. It was really cool. It's a heavy car. The traction is amazing. The acceleration is amazing. Super comfortable, wide wheelbase, like you're sitting in your living room. I absolutely loved it. And I like it, man. It has the power. It has this durability. No mechanics involved. No oil change. No transmission. No carburetor talk. I hate when the mechanics give me the carburetor talk and all that. Oh, man, I don't want to hear that. I just want to get in my car and go. And it's super convenient. Charge it at home. No gas station. Guys, I'm so excited to not have to go to the gas station next week. After watching Islam versus Jack and Khamzat versus DDP, I think Islam would have beaten Dricus Duplessis at 185. What do you think? That's from Raj Khan. Raj Khan, you're a gentleman and scholar. Let me tell you, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's just crazy that we're saying that. But yes, we're living in an era where I think the guy who won at lightweight could win also at 185. If you told me, hey, they're fighting next week, I would pick Makhachev. That's crazy. Just think about that. You just made me think of something so crazy. That's crazy, man. That's just really insane. You know, Makhachev, they're asking, would you do 3 titles? He's like, I have to hang out with DC. DC's going to help me get to 185. But he's like, no, it's going to be too hard. He was kind of joking it off, but I don't think he wants to go to 185. He kind of like smirked and said, that's going to be really hard. It's dangerous because fighting Chimaev is not a good idea. But if it was DDP, the champ, you'd think maybe you sneak up there and take that title. Not that it would have been an easy fight because there's definitely a size difference, but DDP can be taken down as we've seen. Coach, thoughts on bone density? That's from Vaimas. Bone density is super important, man. Super important. That's why it's important to lift heavy weights, train, run, sprinting, builds bone density in your shin. Kicking the bag, punching the bag, elbowing the bag, kneeing the bag is going to put bone density. And of course, calcium and nutrition, getting all your nutrition, but calcium is super important for your bones. But intensity, you need intensity. Of course, for your tendons, your muscles, but the bone, man. The bone is very important. Lifting heavy weights, doing negatives, super important for your longevity and strength. You don't want to have brittle bones, okay? If you're not exposing your body to high levels of tension, you're going to have weak bones. Who the hell wants to have weak bones? When do you throw a punch and your hand breaks? Hell no. You punch something, it breaks. That's what you want, right? Coach, boycott Hyundai. It's on the BDS list. No way. Don't tell me Hyundai's on the BDS list. No. Hold on a second. No, say it ain't so. No. Okay, it's an allegation that their equipment's used by Israel. So Israel might have bought their equipment. Well, look, if I had known this, I wouldn't have bought it. I guarantee you that. But I'd have to read on this and know exactly what their involvement is. Boycott Hyundai to end its complicity in Israel ethics cleansing of Palestinian communities in Jerusalem. Oh, no, don't tell me this. Oh, goodness gracious, man. Not Hyundai as well. Oh, man, I can't believe it. I didn't even think to check. Okay, Hyundai specializes in excavation equipment. It sells its products to Israel with full knowledge that they are used to demolish Palestinian homes. Oh, that's really disturbing, man. That's really, really disturbing. Oh, goodness gracious, man. Oh, man, I should have checked this BDS list. Oh, man. Oh, this is horrible. I already made the deal. That's the sad part. Oh, God. That's really sad. You know what? I boycott as many companies that are involved in that kind of stuff as possible. But at the end of the day as well, sometimes we're going to make mistakes. And sometimes there's no choice. They're all... And you got to... Unfortunately, you have no choice but to... You got to get to work or what. It's just something to think about, figure out another solution. But unfortunately, I already made a transaction with this. I had no idea Hyundai does that. Goodness gracious, man. Ugh, I'm so disappointed in Hyundai. Win a UFC belt. Don't drive off in a Hyundai. Kanye. Bobby, you should just accept what he is. Coach, how many untrained guys would it take to beat up Ilya? Let's say it's a completely open field, room to move. My friend will be prototype of the attackers, 5'10", 150 pounds. Charles, that's a good question. Okay, let's end it on that. That's a good question. How many regular sized, how many 5'10", 150 pounders would it take to beat Ilya Topuria? And they're untrained. The 150 pounders are untrained. That's a good question. I got to do some math in my head here. Okay, so Ilya's throwing punches. He's dropping each one that he's hitting. But eventually, like, okay, do they have a hive mind? Because if, let's say there's 50 of them and Ilya floors 2-3 of them, the other ones are going to run, right? But let's say they're not running and they have a hive mind. They're ready to die for the win. Then it's possible. But if, let's say you gave me 500 regular Joes, once Ilya starts decking them, they're all going to run away. But if they have a hive mind, because, people ask me about the gorilla question. I'm like, yeah, but human beings are going to run away. Then they're like, no, hive mind. I was on the Superman podcast. They're like, hive mind. Oh, hive mind. Yeah, of course, the gorilla is going to get tired. But if I saw a gorilla rip a guy's arm off, I'm not going to go approach a gorilla. I'd run in the opposite direction. And as a hive mind, for sure, if 30, 40 men jump on a gorilla, they'll beat him. The gorilla's going to get tired. They're eventually going to choke him or something. They're going to get him down and beat him. He's going to get tired. The gorillas probably won't have great endurance. So hive mind, it would take probably, realistically speaking, 25 guys. Because at least 7 or 10 of them are going to get knocked out right away. And then the other 10 will kind of put him to the ground, hold him, grab his arms and legs, and he just will be stuck. Okay, guys, I got a few super chats. I was hoping to avoid the super chats, but they came in, they popped in, so I got to keep going. Is Plato's idea of the form similar to Sufi ideas of divine attributes manifested in the material world? That's from Bink Sird. No, it's not the same thing. Plato would tell you, look, you see this container? You were born with the idea of the perfect container, and then when you woke up in this world, you saw a container that reminds you of that perfect idea. Therefore, that idea carries the same essence as that perfect idea of container in your head. This is not a perfect container, but the idea of container in your head is perfect. Now, I can go in real detail about this, but I think Plato made a fatal flaw. We have the idea of perfection, and he took his idea of perfect and mixed it in with all sorts of ideas, which is a form of idolatry. That's not what the Sufis are doing. Plato made an error, and he built his philosophy around this error. He was a brilliant guy. We all make errors. This is one of them. And it's very unrelated or very different than what the Sufis are saying. Kamzat versus Bo. Who would be a real seesaw battle in middleweight? That's from Kalyani Tube. Kalyani Tube, I think Chimaev would get the better of him still. It's too early for Bo. I think Bo is going to be a superstar. I think he's going to fight for the belt. He's going to be a guy we're going to talk about quite often. But from what I saw of his fight with Vieira, he's still ways away. He's going to get there. It's just ways away. Hello, Coach. What's the name of some reading books for raising babies for the first 6 months? That's from that's from CXK. I would tell you, read The Baby Whisperer. The Baby Whisperer. Inya Bile Arabic, $10. Hey, Coach, I'm going to start jiu-jitsu, and the school I'm going to is mainly gi. Should I never use any gi grips so that my game will transfer or use certain ones? That's from Ibn. I would tell you, you're right. Like Jean-Jacques Machado, he used to do gi all the time and not rely too much on the gi. So he wouldn't do too much cross crawler choke. He wouldn't do too much spider guard. He would refuse to use the gi as a crutch. So then when he transitioned to no gi, he did that. He premeditated that. That was before. That was his philosophy before Abu Dhabi. And then of course the Abu Dhabi Combat Club, the ADCC tournament happened. It was no gi, and guess who wins? Jean-Jacques Machado. He went in there and he beat everybody. Before the tournament ever even existed, he was saying, I don't want to use the gi and rely on the gi because one day I might have to compete in no gi. He was forward thinking. There wasn't really any no gi going on. He was maybe thinking MMA. He did do one MMA fight, didn't go well. He fought Frank Trigg, got stopped. He wasn't ready for takedowns and punches, but on the ground, he's a genius. Okay. And in the Frank Trigg fight, it was horrible. He kind of shot, like he had no wrestling. He shot on the ankle of Trigg, and Trigg just stood over him and beat him up. It was just a horrible fight. But on the ground, he's a genius. Okay. And I'll tell you that the first Abu Dhabi, he won it. And his jiu-jitsu was brilliant. You guys got to go back and watch those. For that time, for that era, he was a no-gi guy who crushed everybody in, he was a gi guy who was doing no-gi in the gi, if that makes sense. He was trying to do no-gi jiu-jitsu in the gi. Exactly what you said. He wasn't relying on the grips too much. And of course, he does use grips. He did some. I would say don't do more than 20% of your attacks. Shouldn't be 80% of your attacks and sweeps and chokes and subs and all that should be no-gi. And then sprinkle an extra 20 just to make it fun. And that, as long as you do 80, you'll be good. And that was Jean-Jacques' philosophy, and it did amazing. It did amazing. It really shocked the world. He won, I think, 2 or 3 in a row. Elon is not the owner of Tesla. He only owns 15%. That's from Squared Circle. Still, though, he's the face of the company. He pushes the company. He supports the company. I'd have to do some... Is Tesla BDS? Let me just look that up. Did I put BDS? Let's see. BDS boycott list. Okay. I'm just going to boycott everybody forever. Tesla is not explicitly on the BDS. Oh, look at that. Look at that. They're not on the list. It's crazy. I guess you're right. All right, guys, let's end it on the fun one. I was supposed to end it on the fun one, and then I got a bunch of super chats, so let's end it because it's getting late, my friends. Coach, do you think Craig Jones is responsible for JDM? That's from Mustafa. No, I answered that earlier. No, he's not responsible, okay? I'm sure he helped JDM, but he can't be responsible for the man's grappling and wrestling ability. He's just been working with him for a short time. Coach, you missed my super chat. No, did I? My apologies, friends. My apologies. If I missed anybody's super chat, you know how much I hate to do that. I got to get a new software that saves them of some sort. Okay, here they are. Hey, Coach, I'm going to start. Okay, I did that one. My 13-year-old brother is identifying as trans and won't listen to me. I've not spoken to him for a year. What should I do? That's from Bobby Hilton. Ay. Bobby Hilton, you just dropped a ton of bricks on me. Look, Bobby, I would suggest, get him a psychoanalysis, get him a psychiatrist, get him to, talk about his issues and see what the experts say. I don't know. Reach out for help, but not to me because I don't know the ins and outs, What would I do in that situation? I try to probably get into his head, like what's going on, because that's wanting to change your body in a way that's irreversible, so you got to really meditate and think about that next step, because if you do it, you can't come back. So I do a deep dive and do a lot of research, but honestly, I can't tell you from where I'm sitting because I don't have the details. What is your take on the changes that have happened in Syria over the years? That's from Salman. Salman, honestly, I don't know enough about Syria. Okay, so I know lots of stuff about the Middle East, but the Middle East is far more complicated than I can comprehend. And Syria is one of those countries that I haven't really studied their history too much. So unfortunately, I'm not very familiar. I understand they had a coup recently to change government, but I'm not very familiar with their background or history. Salam again, coach. I'm competing in-house jiu-jitsu at new set white belt. As a new set white belt, any advice? I might upload the video of my performance if you'd like. Thanks. That's from Saeed Noor. Noor, enjoy, have fun. That's my number one advice to you. Have fun, enjoy yourself, because you're a white belt. Don't be too competitive. Whatever happens, it's not that big of a deal. You're very early in your journey, and I'm sure you're gonna have fun and learn from it. And on the next live stream, if you want to maybe send it to me, I'll try to watch a minute or two of it. If it's exciting, we'll keep watching, but I don't want to bore the crowd, so it'd have to be something really cool. And yeah, just enjoy yourself. Just try not to get hurt and enjoy yourself, and have fun, and just do your best to be a good student. Study, train, be regular on your training schedule. Try to think about your techniques. Try to write them down. Try to organize your thoughts, and just try to be the best student you can be, and enjoy yourself. The experts will tell him he's a woman. That's from Alex. Alex, you're so right. Like 100 years ago, they would say, oh, he has a mental disease. Today, they would say, like, oh, he's just a woman in a man's body. Alex, I wish I could help you. I would tell you, look, that's something we had to correct in his youth. From young, we had to shelter him from the... What do they call it? The... What do you call it, man? The propaganda, the influence, the psychological bombardment of like, hey, there's 1 million flavors out there. Why don't you try them all before you decide what you want to... No. There's 2 flavors, man. There's 2 flavors. Don't confuse the kid. There's only 2 flavors. He thinks in terms of 2 flavors. And then when he's older, he can see, hey, you know what? Other people think in different ways. Okay, that's fine. But when you're young... Don't let them tell you about all these other things, because it can confuse you and make your life very difficult. That's what I tell my sons. I raised you so that when you look in the mirror, your psyche and your physicality match. There's no distortion. You don't want to look in the mirror and think, hey, inside I feel different than what I am outside. There's a break of harmony. So I told my kids, I sheltered you and I trained you and I walked you through the path that made you feel that everything is the way it's supposed to be. You feel on the inside like you look on the outside. And that's very important, because if those 2 things are not in harmony, you're going to be spending a lot of your life on this topic. Your whole identity is going to be this topic. There's nothing else. Their whole identity is on this topic. And I tell my sons, why on earth would I try to train your mind to be something your body isn't? It doesn't allow you to survive and reproduce. It's not conducive to you having a family and propagating and surviving and thriving in life. It doesn't help you. So, in my opinion, I think they did this to the youth. But they did it a long time ago. And they did it in so many subtle ways. They tried to blur the line between what a man is and what a girl is. And there's no difference. So now, if we're on a sinking ship, imagine we're on the Titanic today. They build a new version of the Titanic 2.0, and we're going out to sea, and it hits an iceberg, and it's 2026, and somebody yells, okay, everybody on the lifeboats, women and children first. Is he a sexist? Is it wrong? Should we be like, hey, no. It's first come, first serve, not women and children first? Would you say that? Or would you be like, no, hey, man, it's going to be women and children first, and then the men. Well, if you say it's women and children first, are you being sexist? Look at war. When war happens, they send the men. Even till this day, nobody was objecting. When Ukraine said, hey, the men have to stay behind, the women and children can leave. And some people say, oh, there are women there. There are only 15% of women serving in the military, and it's always a supporting role. They're not out there in the front lines fighting. Very few of them are. Okay, very few. I'm not saying 100% of them are not fighting. There are some, but very few. Let's call it 95% is men. Where are the feminists? Where are all the alphabet people saying this is an outrage? Where's everybody out there saying, look, this is an outrage? Well, if you send your women to fight, your biological women to fight, what's going to happen? Well, they get captured. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to be used to make more of your enemies. So that's why strategically it was never a good idea. And statistically, guys, believe me, you can take my word for this. Okay, look for it, Google it. Female soldiers, biologically female soldiers, get captured, killed, and injured far more than male soldiers. Okay, they get injured far more than male soldiers. It's just the most inefficient way to fight war, and you're basically shooting your civilization in the foot. So ultimately, at the end, when it comes to shove, in emergency situations, people come to realize, hey, no, there's a difference between man and woman. There's a difference. Biologically, psychologically, we don't care. Physically, there's a difference, and that's what we're going by. So look, this whole debacle about which bathroom should you go into. Look, whatever equipment you're carrying between your legs, that's how we organize the bathroom. We don't care if you're what you are on between your ears, what you are psychologically. That's irrelevant. What equipment do you have? You go in this room. You have that equipment, you go in that room. It will be simpler. I'll tell you why. Because 99% of sexual crimes are committed by men. So the guys with a certain the people with certain equipment between their legs are the ones, the culprits. That's why we got to be aware of those. We got to be wary. We got to say, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. That person with that equipment can't be in a certain place at a certain time in a certain area because we're scared of a certain harm. Okay, so it all makes sense. The way things have been passed down to us, traditionally speaking, makes sense. People were not dumb in the ancient world. They're not dumb in the 100 years ago. They weren't dumb. They had a tradition for a reason. Okay. All right, guys, I want to end it on something fun. I know I tried to end it a while ago, but I got a bunch of super chats. Let's end it on something light and fun. Okay. No more hardcore questions. Just something funny and light. Okay, guys, I'm not answering any crazy questions. I'm only answering something light and funny. This is it. The last question. Coach, they should release the Epstein files. I wish they would, man, but all their names are on it. All their names are on it. They can't release it. The whole list, man, will put the whole really important people in jail. Holy moly, so many questions are coming in all one shot. Would you rather have 5 million or superpowers of your choice? That's from NBA fan. Oh, definitely superpowers of my choice. Definitely. Let's see. Okay, that's the last one. What superpower would I take? If I could take a Marvel character superpower, not Superman, because I find like Superman is like it's too powerful. His comic books are boring in a way. Like think about it. Like I could do absolutely everything. They had to make up kryptonite to give him even a challenge. It's just the guy's too powerful. It doesn't make sense. What superpower would I want? I gotta think about this. Look, I love Spider-Man. I love the Hulk. I love Wolverine. I love Batman. Batman was cool. But if I had to pick a superpower, I loved Silver Surfer as well. Wolverine was so cool, man. He was just so cool. The Hulk was also really, really cool, man. It's too tough, but I'd probably go with Spider-Man. He's just too cool, man. Spider-Man's too cool. He's also intelligent. I like that about Spider-Man. He's very intelligent. He's a very sophisticated thinker. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Guys, don't forget to use Holiday 55 off and get 55% off everything on jujiclub.com. Make sure to check out Commands and Signal Striking System, the CSS. Guys, in the new year, in around February, we're going to open it up to certification. So get it, practice it. There are more volumes coming out shortly. It is the best striking video I've ever put out. It's a partner-based system, so you need to do it with a partner. For those of you who teach, it's going to be great for you. For those of you who want to just train and get really good at striking, this is a great way to kind of mimic sparring without a wear and tear. I'm sure you guys are going to love it. I have no doubt. This is what I use with the pros. You guys will love it. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next episode.